K'v'siyata d'ishmaya. So we're going to start the third perek. Yeah, pasuk aleph. Beni Torati al tishkach. My son, don't forget my teaching. Don't forget my Torah. Umitzvotai itzor libecha, and let my mitzvot yitzor libecha. Milatzor yitzur to retain, to create, like let your heart, let the mitzvot build, consolidate, strengthen your heart. Says the Gaon, Beni Torati al tishkach. Says how you don't forget the Torah. When you learn the Torah, Yomam Valayla. And he says, like he was mefaresh in the beginning of the second perek. If you see in the beginning of the second perek, also he's talking about mitzvot and he's talking about his sayings, which is the Torah. The Gaon says, כי תורת צריך אדם ללמוד תמיד יומם ולילה. בכל יומה זמנה, right? There's no time where there's no hiyuv to learn Torah. So you should take it with you all the time. So here comes the secret, according to the Gaon, to not forget the Torah is to simply learn it all the time. Now, what does that mean? Every time you learn Torah, even though you're not learning a specific subject, the fact that you learn the Torah, it's a segula to remember that subject that you've learned in the Torah before. You understand? So let's say you've learned Masechet Baba Kama, but now you're learning Masechet Kiddushin, and you're always learning, There's no downtime of learning. Vadai that a person has an obligation to eat and to sleep, etc. Yeah, but the free time that you have is invested in Limud Torah. There is a segula that as long as you're connected to the Torah and you're learning the Torah, even though now you're learning Kiddushin, by learning Kiddushin now is a segula to remember what you learned in Baba Kama. So people that are looking for segulot to remember their Torah, never disconnect from the Torah, and everything you learn, you will remember Be'ezrat Hashem. Which means, essentially, that what leads to forgetting the Torah, the disconnect. Being disconnected to the Torah, from the Torah, introduces that void, right? That separation introduces the shichecha. It's a hidush. It's a beautiful hidush, right? Meaning when you disconnect from something, you start forgetting it. Leavdil, you know, the going, they say, far from the eyes, far from the heart. It's such a concept. If you disconnect, then you start forgetting. It comes from the Torah. Chazal says, the Torah says, if you leave me one day, I leave you 2 days. So it goes both ways, right? When you're connected, it enhances its influence, and therefore you remember. And if you disconnect, then it creates the void and it creates the shichecha. It's active forget. Umitzvotai, right? And my commandment, yitzor libecha, should be retained, right, in your heart, meaning should mold. How do you mold something? How do you consolidate something? By retaining it, by right? A shape only has its shape because it's retaining that shape. Let's say if you take water, if you try to make a shape out of it, you cannot. Why? Because it doesn't retain. נכון? So that's the how right, the yitzur. How do you build a shape? You put an effort in an element, in a metal or whatever, and it retains that effort in the shape you're trying to put that effort, right? This doesn't work with a liquid, for example. You cannot make a shape with a liquid. So he says your heart should retain your Torah by doing the mitzvot. Like through the mitzvah, you consolidate your learning, and that's how you shape your heart. That's how you mold your behavior. And he says this comes, in the contrary of the learning of the Torah. The learning of the Torah is all the time. There's no time where there's asur to learn Torah. Mitzvot are specific with time, right? You can only do a mitzvah when the mitzvah comes to you, or when it's time to do a mitzvah. So that's how that's a more we're gonna say strict and rigid interaction with the mitzvah than it is with the Torah. So the regimented approach, or the stiffer approach there is in the relation between a person and the mitzvot, is what consolidates and shapes his heart. כי אורך ימים, פסוק ב', כי אורך ימים ושנות חיים, because they are a longevity of life, of days, ushnot chaim, and years of life, right? They will bestow upon you, they give the person long life, longevity of life, in years. The shalom, and of peace. Yosifu lach will be added to you. So if we break this pasuk into three, we have orech yamim, we have longevity, length of days, we have shenot chaim, years of life, and shalom, right? So this is what the Torah grants you. This is what the mitzvot, accomplishment of the mitzvot, grant you. Three things: length of days, years of life, and shalom. Says the Gaon, Elu hashlosha neged hashlosha she'amar b'pasuk שלמעלה, Shem Torah mitzvot aseh velo ta'aseh. He says This is referring to the three things that the Pasuk Aleph introduced. Where do we see three things? We see two things, Torah and mitzvot, right? Where's the third thing? He says mitzvot is mitzvot aseh and mitzvot lo aseh. The impact there is on you from a mitzvah aseh is different than the impact mitzvah lo aseh has on you. Refraining yourself from doing something builds you a certain way, and proactively doing a mitzvah aseh develops something else. Learning something else. So he says we have three things that builds a person: the limud Torah, studying the Torah, proactive mitzvot aseh, and holding back from lo ta'aseh. So he says, orech yamim, long days, length of days, right? Meaning long life in terms of quantity. Like the Pasuk says, Asher yaseh otam ha'adam v'chai bahem. These are the actions the person should do and live with them. He says this is referring to the mitzvot aseh. Why is the mitzvot aseh giving life? Well, a mitzvot aseh, if its definition is that you have an obligation to do something when the opportunity comes or when the proper time comes, right? So you look forward for an event. So you look forward to life. So you're always projecting yourself for when the next mitzvah will come, right? So you're not stuck in a certain place in your life. You engage with life. So and engaging with life yields life. How do we know that? Because we know that mitzvot, Torah mitzvot are called chayim, right? And mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah gives you not mitzvah. So if I translate mitzvah into chayim, mitzvah goreret mitzvah, chayim goreret chayim. So it is again a segula for arichut yamim, for long life, to do mitzvot aseh, obviously to do them properly and look forward to them. Ushnot hayim, and years of life. He says years of lives is keneged, is referring to mitzvot lo ta'aseh, refraining from forbidden actions. Why? Because by doing something asur, it shortens the life of the person. Because by doing avera, the person, he brings upon himself negativity. Negativity translates into issues, into bad energy, into headaches, into problems. And that's the formula to shorten someone's life, right? So by not doing all this, Shenot Haim, you ensure yourself years of life. And he pushes the thoughts. It's very beautiful. He pushes the thought further, the Gaon. And he says, you also translate the bad into good with lutase. Why? Because there's no one that can say he's not transgressing lutase. Everybody, one way or another, they fail and they do something that's forbidden, right? But he says, so that's essentially when a person does something that's forbidden, it's it's yielding problems, right? He says when you do teshuvah, what happens? The bad converts into good. So suddenly you generated chayim. You turn the vector that is supposed is originally to make the life shorter with issues and problems, and turned all this into a bracha of life and positivity. That's but the mitzvot lo ta'aseh. So from the mitzvot of lo ta'aseh, if you do teshuvah, you have the ability to turn, right, shortening of life into life. That's the power of teshuvah and its edge on the lo ta'aseh. V'shalom yosifu lach, and right, and you will have, okay, all this yosifu lach goes on everything, v'shalom and the shalom. He says, who can I get a tova? This goes back, shalom goes back to what's the so good, the tova, which is the Torah Kedosha. Like it says, shalom, right? All its paths, all its ways of the Torah are full of shalom. They're made of shalom. And he says the same way that the Torah includes all the mitzvot, right? It's kolelet everything. If you don't know Torah, you cannot do mitzvot. So the same way the shalom, the kli mahzik beracha. The biggest beracha is the birkat hashalom, like we know in the end of the Mishnayot, right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, לא מצא הקדוש ברוך הוא כלי מחזיק בך לישראל, אלא השלום. Like he says, השם עוז לעמו ייתן, השם יברך את עמו בשלום. השם will bless את עמו בשלום. עושה שלום במרומיו וברחמיו, יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. Hashem blesses us with shalom. And what is that shalom? It's the Torah Kedusha. It's the Torah Kedusha. So through the Limud Torah, what is shalom essentially? It's like well-being. It's inner peace, tranquility, serenity, right? It's the peak of success. So through the Limud Torah, the person takes his mitzvot aseh and his mitzvot lo ta'aseh, packages them from longevity of life and opportunity and purpose into a whole harmonious ecosystem that fits perfectly, that feels good, that has sense to it. It's the beracha everybody is looking for. And this is, and when the pasuk says Hashem oz le'amu yiten, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom, it's a bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning you learn my Torah, you want to learn who I am, because when you learn the Torah, you learn HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? You reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in counterpart, blesses you with his biggest beracha, which is the shalom. So if we take this and put it back in the first pasuk, Beni, my son. When Shlomo Melech says Beni, my son, he's basically setting the tone. Be receptive, open your heart, learn, absorb, and know that what I'm giving you, I'm giving it to you out of love and out of chokhmah, that I know this is what you will need, you, my son, knowing you in the future, right? The father knows his son. He knows what the son needs. Beni, he's talking to our neshama. He's telling us, I know what you need. Torati, al tishkach. Learn your Torah all the time. Take advantage of the free time that you have to learn my Torah, to learn the Torah. Why? So that you can nurture an ecosystem of serenity and harmony and peace. This is how it starts. So al tishkach, and do not let the disconnection be a contamination in your ecosystem of negativity and darkness that create the shichecha, the distancing. So Shlomo HaMelech introduces first the effort that we need to do to create an ecosystem that is productive and that will yield chaim, not the other way around. He didn't say, Beni, mitzvotai, yitzor libecha, ve'al tishkach torati. First, the ecosystem. First, create the environment. Now, creating that environment is not static. It's very dynamic. Why? Because if you stop one moment, you create vulnerabilities. So you constantly need to feed that ecosystem with the beracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's called shalom. But it doesn't stop there, because you have actions, right? You have behaviors, you have situations. Umitzvotai itzor libecha. Mold yourself, retain the actions, foresee up, look forward, doing mitzvot that projects you in the future, that keeps you motivated, that keeps you dynamic, that keeps you engaged. You want to wake up in the morning because you want to put tefillin. You want to wake up early because you want to pray nets. So you're always engaged. And from a lo ta'aseh perspective, right? Refraining yourself from doing something bad is essentially, again, not introducing into your life negativity. Because if you do mitzvah, if you transgress a mitzvah, if you do avera, then there are collateral damage to it. So by not doing the avera, there's no collateral damage, so you retain chaim. But not only that, says the Gaon, you yield Chaim because no man is perfect. So you have the opportunity to turn around something that was done wrong and that created negativity into good that you didn't do. But by doing teshuvah, you benefit from. And this is how you enrich your life. This is how you prolongate your life in an environment that is pleasant, that is happy and blessed.
Amen.
Oh Hashem. We're gonna the Pasuk Gimel is quite long in the Gaon, so we're gonna I think we're gonna stop here. At least for with Pasuk Aleph and Bet.